Cool. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast with me, Charlie.
Me, Rick.
Me, Frazer.
God, fuck's sake, Frazer, you got one job. Me, Serhan, and a special guest.
Danny!
Danny! Hey!
It's good to have you here, Danny.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We've missed you, George.
So we are Red Jackson, and today we are talking about the last part of The Last of Us, which is episode 6, 7, 8, and 9. We've got quite a bit to get through. I've made as many little notes as I can, but realistically, we can just talk about it because that's what we do.
I want to do the intro. I want to do an intro. I got stuff.
Okay. Serhan, we're going to just start again.
No.
Oh, you mean an actual intro? You have a guitar in your hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. You can't see it because the camera's blotting it out. No, I literally just learned this in the last half an hour, so don't judge, okay?
Okay.
All right, hold on. All right, hold on. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Can you hear that clearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boo.
Fuck you.
Great.
That was beautiful, mate. That was beautiful.
Yeah, lovely.
That is.
Last of Us vibe. It was nice.
It is The Last of Us. That's called
that was The Last of
that's called The Choice from the album.
Well, that was Harry Potter.
Recognized it.
That was not Harry Potter. How deep do you think Harry Potter is?
I thought that was Harry Potter.
You're a wizard, Harry. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
No, that was from the. That was like one of my favorite songs from the Last of Us album. It's called The Choice. They even use it. That's why it's The Choice when Joel chooses not to tell her.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I know what you mean now. That's cool. That's really cool.
Right. Anyway, took half an hour, gave my heart and soul.
I'm blowing my nose on some pants. Oh, clean ones.
Oh.
Clean one.
oh, that-
Clean.
yeah.
They're nylon. It feels nice on my face. Okay.
Okay.
So we last left off with Henry and Sam. That was episode 5. And as Serhan kind of already said in the episode before, he'd seen episode 6. I think we'd all seen episode 6 when we done the last podcast, but Serhan hadn't. Serhan was like, I doubt they're going to do another 3-year jump. And they do. They do an exactly like the game. They do the 3-year jump.
Not be 3 months.
Yeah, it's
Because
one
she would have
season.
gone from
probably
14 to 17, and it definitely doesn't look like she does.
I think you're right. It's 3 months. Yeah, it's definitely 3 months.
Guys, whoever's listening to this, Charlie's ill, so just be wary of him. He's tripping right now.
Cut it out.
He doesn't know where he is, don't know who he's talking to.
He's not even on a podcast right now. There's no laptop. He's just talking to himself.
Yeah, I have no friends. This is all imaginary. Yeah, so we meet the old couple who have been living there since like before the outbreak even happened, and yeah, they warned to not go west, which is where they have to go.
That wasn't in the game, right? That was like a little bit they just threw into the show. They never came across anyone in the hut in the game.
Don't think they came across them in the game.
No, I don't.
No.
Danny,
It was a weird
play the game
game.
by any chance? Or have you come in fresh to the show?
I've come in fresh. The only reason I knew it was a game was because obviously how they publicised it when it got released. I've never played the game. Never.
Good. We need that perspective, to be honest with you, Danny. We need that perspective. So you're going to be good eyes for us just to kind of, we've got too much wrapped up in it, man. So we need someone from the outside to be like, this worked and this didn't for this reason.
See, I always thought that little scene with the hut was part of the game because it sort of made sense for that to have been in the game. But obviously, like you said, it clearly wasn't.
Games like just take direction like that, don't they? Just quickly, what have you thought of everything up until like that point?
Yeah, it was really hooking. I was trying to, obviously never played the game. I was trying to picture what was in the game and what wasn't. And I'll be honest, I couldn't tell. I mean, it could have all been in. It could, like, only bits of it could have been in, but it was really engaging. And yeah, it literally, I didn't think I was going to get as hooked as I did, to the point where I had to binge watch it. I couldn't leave. I couldn't wait like the week to week.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, that is a great sign.
That makes me really happy to hear that. Like, it makes me proud of like the game and the show. Like,
Literally,
once you take it on board, it's like your thing that you like to show people. You know what I mean? It's like such a proud thing, but it's such a good story. Like, I'm really glad that you liked it. Like someone who hasn't played the game.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Do you know what? Actually, just before we carry on, what's your take on episode 3 with Bill and Frank?
What happens? It refresh my memory.
They are the gay couple who are it's basically like a little spin-off story for the episode.
Oh yeah, I liked it. It was a bit. I wasn't expecting that at all. As I said, I liked it, but I don't necessarily know whether it was needed. But I understood why it was in it. Was that part of the game, or was that sort of an add-on for?
Kind of.
So a lot of the background, the side stories, and the more in-depth stuff wasn't actually in the game. You spend a lot of the game just following Joel and Ellie. So basically, that whole episode up until Joe and Ellie show up in the present is all like added for the show.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, nice. It was pretty much completely original. Like, it was very, very different in the game. Frank's dead straight away. So like, you never meet him. But it's like all in notes, and so it was really like, as you're going around, like running around, you're reading all these notes from Frank, and so in the show they kind of just dived into that side of it. But yeah, no, I've had a lot of people say that it just felt like filler, and even though it was beautiful, it just, exactly as you kind of said, it felt like it didn't feel necessary. And I feel like now we've finished the show, I kind of agree, like it really wasn't very necessary at all. But I still liked it. It was still a nice episode.
So was Bill in the game, or was it literally just Frank that was in the game then?
No, Bill.
Yeah, he was still alive.
Bill was alive. Okay. You meet him because as you're kind of making your way to Bill's house in the game, you kind of get caught up in these like man-made traps that you see in the episode as well.
Yeah.
And then you're about to get cornered, and you're fighting infected and stuff, and then Bill comes and saves you. And then he's the one that literally gives you the car and all the stuff. And as Charlie said, like, his relationship with Frank, their kind of arguments, it was a bit like insinuated through letters and stuff. But
okay. So in the game, they were a couple as well. So it wasn't just they've added them into the TV program.
No. Yeah, it's really heavily insinuated that they were a couple. It doesn't overtly say, and then because it's insinuated in the game, the scene in the car with Ellie when she opens the magazine and it's basically just like naked guys, that's in the game as well. So you're like, okay, you start to add one on one. You're like, this is more than just a friendship.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. In the game, you never actually meet Frank. Frank's already dead. It's just you just meet Bill.
Bill yeah.
Sounds like a crazy paranoid kind of guy in the city who's just protecting himself. He doesn't come across the way he does in the show. In the show, he seems like this really resourceful, smart, sweet, sensitive guy. In the game,
he does start off a bit like Bill from the game, though. Like, he is that guy who's setting traps and hates everything.
He's sitting at dinner with people with a gun on the table. He was very Bill at those points. Like,
but then obviously Frank does change him.
But in the game, none of that happens. You just meet Bill, and he's just like a crazy guy who's just trying to protect himself. So
I think personally, if they had got it done in maybe an episode sooner and moved the story, I think I would have gone, okay, cool, and wouldn't have fought wouldn't have fought against it. I think it kind of not dragged out slightly too long for me. I do feel like they could have just moved on a bit quicker. But apart from that, I mean, and again, it wasn't even a horrendous thing. So as I said, it still hooked me. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. It does do 20 years or so, doesn't it? It like tells a 20-year story for these two guys who we don't even, like Joel and Ellie don't really even get to have a conversation with properly. Well, apart from the flashback thing. Okay, so let's carry on with episode 6. We'll catch back up to where we are. So after everything that's happened with Henry and Sam, Joel's now having panic attacks and is getting that feeling of he can't handle any more loss because he's broken at this point. I'm not going to lie, the same week that Joel had that episode, I had a panic attack at work and I had to I had to call an ambulance to come and get me off the side of the road because I thought I was having a heart attack. And it genuinely is one of the most terrifying feelings. I think it doesn't matter how big or strong you are, if it fucks your body up, like it just stops you there and then. So it was fucking weird seeing that in that episode. Like right after it happened. But yeah, I mean, he's just gone through so much shit at this point that he's ready. He needs to get rid of Ellie because he just feels like it's too close. He's seen so much death. Get rid of her. You know, he doesn't want to get hurt again. And then we find. Well, we can talk about the campfire scene. I found quite interesting because that wasn't particularly in the game. What did you guys think when they were talking about being astronauts and shepherds and stuff?
Remind me, which was the campfire scene?
They stop for a bit after when they're heading west.
You're like in the cave / mountainy rocky area when they're about to cross the bridge.
And Joel falls asleep and Ellie takes watch over God and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
Ellie talks about wanting to be an astronaut, and he says he wants to be a shepherd, and later says that he wanted to be a singer. But yeah,
I think it was needed for a show. You don't need all the time because a game is a bit more action oriented. Your actions will kind of make those points, whereas in a show you're gonna talk more. It's about two people going across country. They're gonna have deep conversations. It's inevitable at one point they're gonna speak about their own little lives and aspirations. So I think it made a good point in that. Then just in the game, don't get me wrong, Ellie's getting attacked by a clicker, or you're getting attacked, and she saves you save every couple of hours. So you're kind of reinforcing that point. But in the show, you want a bit more conversation, I guess. So yeah, it was small but sweet.
It brought a bit of humanity to it, whereas my mind was constantly on being attacked, and you have this one scene where it's sort of as if they were safe essentially.
Yeah, that's true.
And safe enough to like open up a little bit and kind of share. Yeah. Interestingly, Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the game, she loves space. She's all about she wanted to be an astronaut as a kid and stuff. Right. And so that's why they wrote that into her character. And Troy Baker is quite a well-known singer for you guys as well. She went to go and see him. And that's why Joel aspired to be a musician, because that's part of the people who help bring the characters to life in the game. So they kind of wrote that in. Yeah, it was a nice little thing. I also really loved the Sally Ride reference as well, and that Joel already knew she was going to say Sally Ride because that's like a father knows their daughter. He knows she's going to say that person, and she's just like, yeah, that's like this point. I think it's kind of established that they're gonna like live together and stuff afterwards. It's a really nice scene. I really like that scene.
Yeah, they definitely need those scenes to show that their relationship is developing, because otherwise we wouldn't really know. They need those little bits of downtime to show that Joel and Ellie are actually, or like Joel is more warming up to Ellie, because I think we know from quite early on that Ellie kind of looks up to Joel.
Yeah, definitely.
He's very cold.
Yeah, he's definitely like holds back on ever letting her know that, because he's worried about letting her know and then it just isn't reciprocated straight away and he'll just get hurt. It's just two really defensive people trying to bond. It's just really, it's really funny.
With good reason though. They've both had reasons to not let people in. So, it is a strange one.
Okay. And then they get surrounded and a dog comes out who can sniff out the infection. And once again, Joel can't do shit. He's just completely stuck. And they're just living on a prayer that this dog won't rip her up. That wasn't in the game either, as far as I remember. I think there was a dog scene, but I don't think it was like that.
I thought it was. That seemed quite familiar. Was that not in there?
I don't remember that being in the game. They don't get surrounded by people and get like.
I can't. Do you guys remember how you meet Tommy in the game?
You get to
The dam.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fixing the dam, aren't they? That's where you meet him. I don't think you ever go to Jackson in the game. I think you literally see them at the dam, and that's their little headquarters at the dam that they're trying to fix.
Not properly in Jackson, not in the first game. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold up. There's more than one. There's more than one game of Last of Us. They've got what?
There's two.
So I'm guessing the second game leads on to the second season of The Last of Us.
Yes.
Yeah.
There will be no spoilers. I promise.
Yeah. Everything you've seen so far, Danny, is only from game 1, and it's pretty much capped it off. So game 2 has not been touched yet.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
How do you feel knowing that? Like,
I'm excited. I am so excited to see the second season. I just obviously got to the point and then found out there was a second season before I'd even finished the first season, and I was like, great, this is great, and it best come out soon is what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think I can wait like 2-3 years for it to come out.
Yeah, I think they're going to pump that out quick. I can't imagine they'll dilly-dally with that.
Yeah. Well, I was talking. I wasn't talking. I was reading about it, and obviously Ellie grows up significantly in the next game, I assume.
Yeah.
I heard they're still going to use. I don't know her real name, but they're still going to use the same character. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I heard they were going to recast her, and I was really gutted. And then someone else said that they weren't, so I was like, okay, thank God.
She's old enough. She's playing like 14 in the show in the first game, and then the second one she's like 18, 19 maybe. I can't remember.
No, 20. I think she's in her 20s.
Either way, the actress is in her 20s, so she could easily just make her look more her own age, mature her up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So they get back to Jackson, and we meet back up with Tommy, and it's all pretty intense because Tommy's doing really fucking well, and Joel don't particularly like that, and Joel needs him.
Nope.
And he don't need him. Did you guys? I mean, obviously, no spoilers. I'm just going to say a name, not a character. Don't worry, Danny. I've wrote loads of notes of how not to spoil this. But there was a "What are you looking at?" from Ellie to a random girl.
Yeah.
Could have possibly been Adina.
100%.
So I found that really quite fun. I've not played the second game, by the way, Danny. I've just seen a load of YouTube clips, and so I know the story of it, but I haven't actually played it. Yeah, I heard really bad things about the gameplay, so I never touched it. I thought that was definitely a nod to that character. Yeah. And she gets I really found it fun that she got that little period cup. I don't know why. It was just like after she was looking at tampons in that other episode, then she's just like, this little cup is going to just save you all the time in the world. I thought, mate, I'm such a man. I do not think about that shit ever. And when someone comes up and they're like, you're going to need this, I'm like, oh, mate, imagine having to deal with that in the fucking apocalypse. Poor women. Yeah. Shit.
It kind of humanizes their apocalypse experience. I was seeing someone, I don't know if it was like a little like TikTok or Vine or whatever. It was like a joke, and they're like, "Why is it every time there's an apocalypse, women always shave their fucking side of their hair off, or they always look a certain way, or they were always wearing a tank top with like military bottoms?" And I'm like, yes, that formula is always there, but they never show that side of, like you said, just something as genuinely like a menstrual cup. She's a growing girl, and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" Oh, okay, and then she was like grateful for it because it's. Yeah, you're gonna want that. Being on the road, yeah,
because she would never have got that from Joe.
No, that's it. Like Joel never would have thought of that.
Could you imagine in the game just taking out a brick and a menstrual cup? Like, fuck yeah!
It's just one of those considerations, isn't it? They would have bothered putting something like that in the game,
but it was the first. Ellie's not first interaction. I know she had Tess, but Tess was on a different sort of relationship with her. But it was like these people had taken them in, and it was obviously Tommy's wife, Maria. And there was an element of thought and consideration there, and it's like one woman to another woman. Because like you said, Tommy, Joel weren't really going to think that way because why would they?
Yeah. Yeah, that womanhood was quite sweet. It was a nice moment. I think she needed that after like losing Tess and well, not really Marlene.
Well, yeah.
Yes, then they eventually still are in Jackson. I don't know why I said they're eventually still in Jackson. They're in Jackson. I'm really struggling, guys. I'm gonna get through this. Oh fucking hell, it's running out of time now.
Let's hit the main points. I think the main point of this episode was just obviously meeting Tommy, and my brain's kind of fuzzing out in terms of what the catch was for the next part.
Yeah, do that because we have a lot to get through. There was that really sweet moment with Joel and Ellie where they have that argument, and Joel's like, you know, Tommy will look after you, he will take you, and she's like, no. And I don't know if you guys noticed the way she says, everyone I've ever loved or cared for has either died or left me, everyone fucking except for you. Mm-hmm. And that was when they done the game, it was a mispronunciation, but they loved it so much because it kind of showed this childish side of Ellie that still doesn't know how to curse properly. Mm-hmm. And so they put it in the show as well. But I really appreciate that kind of play on the syntax to make it seem like the sentence doesn't make sense, but it's something a kid would shout at an adult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again,
that was like line for line exactly from the game. Even the bedroom was the same, because I think in the game she kind of overhears Joel wanting to kind of move on and leave her with Tommy, and then she runs away, and this was more extended in the game. So as soon as I saw her in the bedroom, in the house, in the sort of the encampment, I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna happen here now. They're gonna have this, and that's like the first pivotal point. And obviously, Joel kind of pushes her away, but kind of breaks her in the sense of like, you're right, you are not my daughter, sort of thing. But yeah, obviously they retouch base, and I really liked the afterwards more on the show when he's going to get his horse ready, and she's like, you know, you're not gone yet. He's like, well, I haven't. And he's like, are you sure? And by the time he finishes the sentence, she's like, bang, take my fucking case, get on the horse. Yeah. Let's go. Like, there's no question. Her loyalty is that strong.
Do you not feel frustrated? So when Joel said he was gonna leave and not take Ellie with him, did you not get frustrated at that? Because I was really annoyed that he was willing to let her go with Tommy, because I'm thinking to myself, I know you've gone through so much. Do you not yet see Ellie as your daughter? Because that's where I was leading to. I just assumed that it got to the point where I thought Joel would see her as his daughter.
But this is why you're here, Danny, because no matter what we do, at the back of our mind, we know what's going to happen. So it's like, I can't put it on to fresh. I was maybe more shocked in the game than frustrated, but I completely get you. In your position, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, come on. Like, just admit it.
As a cliffhanger for the next episode, I would have been livid.
I'm glad they did it.
Going with you.
Did you think for a second that maybe it would switch over to Tommy and Ellie?
No, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I kind of, watching enough sort of TV shows, etc., I knew it was going to happen, but I'm annoyed that there was a possibility that it wasn't going to happen. So although, you know, they were trying to sway the viewer over to Tommy's going to take over, I always knew that they wouldn't leave it like that, because I could imagine sort of like nobody would have been happy with that outcome. Obviously, the game obviously dictated it already, but just in general.
Yeah, I think at this point, with all the panic attacks and everything, Joel is just like, he feels like getting rid of her and making her someone else's responsibility is going to save him. But obviously he quickly realizes, because he sees Sarah and everything, and he starts going a bit crazy, and then he's like, yeah, do you know what, it's too late anyway. And so that's why he kind of cops out with that, you know, I think you deserve a choice. And she's like, yeah, you don't fucking believe that, just come on, hurry up, let's go. You know, it's such it's kind of sweet.
I really like the panic attack side of things, not to say going through it, but I mean seeing, because I was like, it makes sense. Like I said, a bit more humanization. This guy has trauma unresolved, and the more he's panicking around Ellie is kind of like inadvertently saying, well, I'm caring more about you, and now I'm reacting badly to this care. When you're distant, when we're disconnected, you're just cargo, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's just a transaction, whereas now it's like, fuck, I'm investing myself in this. And it was I think that was the last episode of a panic attack, right? Like, it doesn't touch on it again.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think he just has them in that episode. And
I think so, yeah.
And but I think that kind of reflects his choice there. When he's like, "Look, are you sure?" And it's 100% yes. I think that's when it kind of he settles on it within himself, where it's like, "Okay, fuck it. I want to be around you. You want to be around me."
Well, he doesn't get long to have any panic attacks because he gets stabbed, and that's how the episode ends.
Oh, is that?
Does he have panic attacks in the game?
No.
Cool.
No.
Okay, fine.
No.
I think
That's why I liked it.
he's slightly older for the show, isn't he? Slightly more.
No. He's about the same in the show and in the game because it starts with his birthday. He's in his 30s. 20 years later, he's in his 50s. It's supposed to be the same age. Show to game.
I think it matches close to the game. The show does.
Do they just give him more qualities of being at that age in the show? Do you think? You know, like having bad knees, things like that.
Even his limp, man. Like they definitely played more into the reality of his age. Because in a game, you want to walk from A to B without getting pissed off. You want to move fast. So it's like, yeah, you're a bit more of a superhero in the game, but
yeah, you can get shot like 100 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And heal yourself, heal yourself. In this show, they have to ground it, and I think that's why the panic attacks was a really, really smart choice to really show that no, this guy is fragile, and he knows that either of them could die at any point, and hurt the other. So, yeah. I mean, we might as well end it with the stabbing before we move on to 8. I think the only thing that happens in that episode worth mentioning is Ellie finds out about Sarah. And Nugget waiting to drop for ages. I actually forgot she didn't even know at that point. So it took fucking 6 episodes for her to find that out.
Just because Marie told her about Sarah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danny, what did you think of the stabbing? I know it sounds really weird to ask it, but what did you think of it?
Like when he fell off the horse, and then it was just him and Ellie, and that's how the episode ended. Like, where did that leave you thinking?
I did. There was a part of me that thought, is Joel going to survive? And is Ellie going to make it back to Jackson? It's Jackson, isn't it, with Tommy? That's where my train of thought went. This is probably one of the first times I thought a main character was going to die. So I was concerned that they weren't going to survive.
Okay. I was on the same flex game wise. But the act of getting stabbed, I prefer the game, personally. I preferred the lead up to that in the game than in the show.
Cut out a bit there.
Hello?
No, it wasn't just me.
Oh, everyone stopped on my screen. I was like, hello? I thought you were all going to be like, get the fuck out of here. Wrong.
Did you say you prefer the lead up to that in the game than in the show?
Yeah. 100%. So like, Danny, this is game spoilers, but basically like you're in this hotel, you're having a fight with people, and this guy pushes you off from like one level of the thing to like the next floor down, and you fall down, but you fall on a metal bar, but you don't know it, and the guy's just drowning you. And in the game, you're trying to like grab your gun, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking die. And then Ellie comes, basically shoots the guy, saves you, but then you look down and realize that you've fallen through a bar. And I just think that
sounds so much better than what happened, because it did. The stabbing did feel a bit like a cop out, because it just seemed to be an easy way out to end the show. Because when I saw the stabbing, I was like, I would have preferred a bit more suspense and drama in the build up. The scenario you've just given.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah. I think you're right. Like it's just that lack of suspense that I would have liked. It still could have been the same thing. Guy swings a bat at him, he drops. Yeah, he's getting, I don't know, choked out. But I mean, I still think that moment, okay, cool. But when he falls off the horse, it still had the same punch as the game. I was like, yeah, cool, fair enough. Like, fuck.
I don't think he could have got impaled, because if he had got impaled on a pole like in the game, I don't think he survived that. And I think there would have been a lot of people out there like, fuck off. How did he survive? You know what I mean? Whereas in the game, you kind of, as I said, you've been shot a million times. Yeah. They have to hit you with something really hard in the game so that you know this is going to impact. You know what I mean? Like the rest of it. Whereas,
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we should probably cut off now and rejoin.
Cool.
Serhan, do you want to play us out?
Ad break.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Where's your guitar?
Oh.
Stuff. The guitar next to you.
We didn't want you to fucking jingle us out.
Okay. Shit.
Are you tired of ads that look and sound great but then don't end up being what they advertised? Well, we have a solution. Here at Clickerbait, we have trained clickers to determine whether an ad is legitimate or clickbait. So next time you're unsure of whether to click or not, ask your very own clicker. That means it's legitimate. Uh-oh, that means it's clickbait. Wow, that was a close one. Thanks, clicker. Get your clicker today from clickerbait.organism.com and get half of it off if you order before the end of the apocalypse. Clickers may punch, bite, and or kill you and your family and the ones you love. We do not advertise this purchase under any circumstance. Food and maintenance sold separately.
Ah! Fuck! Ow! I'm done. I'm out. Oh, that really hurt.
Good ad.
Mate, honestly, it's so hard playing the guitar with headphones in. I can't hear what I'm doing. Right. Okay. Episode what we on?
7, Left Behind, which, Danny, in the game, this was DLC. It wasn't even part of the actual game. The whole Riley and Ellie storyline. That was like a whole thing that you had to buy extra. I never played it because I was broke. Which of you guys played it?
Yeah. I was. Did you play it at mine, Rick?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go out of my way to buy it. It just happened to be that when I got the PS4, it came with The Last of Us, and this just had the DLC on it. So I happened to experience it, and it was good. It was good.
Was it similar to the episode?
No, I mean, yes, actually, it was in the sense of it followed the same beats, but it also kind of paralleled itself. Danny, you know how in the show you very immediately find out that Joel is alive, and there's a point where he's like, "Just leave me, just go," and then the sort of cliffhanger of that moment is like, "Is she really going to leave him?" Yeah. And that's how you kind of feel, obviously that's what it's kind of playing towards. Whereas in the game sort of fades out when Joel falls off the horse, and it just starts with a clip, and now you're playing as Ellie, you're not playing as Joel, and you're just going out hunting. So as the gamer, you're like, is Joel dead? Is he dead? There's not an element of he's alive and you've left him. It's just, is he dead? So you kind of see what happens until later on you find out he's alive in the game. Whereas in DLC, it kind of splits it in half like the episode does, of her and Riley's story versus what happened with Ellie and Joel in that time, how she had to survive for those couple of days. So it kind of jumped back between, it kind of filled the gap main canon story. So yeah, I think he's done it justice in my opinion. I think episode really done well.
I think your internet is pretty fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can tell your internet.
Fucking Scottish internet.
Stop cussing my internet, man. It done well. It justified the DLC, all right?
I don't think it did, mate. It cut most of you out.
No, the DLC, not me.
So does it follow the same thing, like she's in Fedra and then her friend wants to be in Fireflies, so they sneak out to the mall? Is that all like the same, or any set pieces changed?
Yeah,
it stays pretty much the same. Like
no, it's literally the same. Even the masks.
Oh, the mask that they wear at the end.
Yeah.
It's very similar, very like it's almost beat for beat.
It kind of does what the show does. Like it follows the same sort of story. It changes like a few minor things, but all in all, the episode is pretty much exactly the same as the DLC. Like Riley goes missing. She breaks into your room in the middle of the night. She's like, "Yep, we're gonna go do this thing," and she plans this whole thing for you. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving." So it does play the same way in the show, but obviously in the game you got more time with it, so you get a bit more invested. But I think they still nailed it pretty sweet, man. They had the tone of it, everything. They had the relationship down with it. It was near enough spot on.
Watching the episode genuinely made me regret not playing the DLC because it looked really, really fun. Did you get to play like I'm guessing it weren't Mortal Kombat, it was probably, I think it was called the Turn-In in the DLC, wasn't it? Because I think that was originally the name of the comic that Neil Druckmann wrote, called, that was for The Last of Us, that he gave to Naughty Dog. So I think you get to play a game called the Turn-In, and it's basically Mortal Kombat. But do you get to play it?
No, you don't get to play it, but they have like they kind of do it really pretty sick. Like when you get into the machine, like the arcade machine itself that they want to play is broken, so they can't actually play it. But then Riley says to Ellie, like, just close your eyes. I'm gonna do it for you. And the screen slowly fades to black, and then you just hear Riley explaining it, and you got the little sound effects, and it kind of sounds like she's like walking.
Use their imagination.
Yeah,
that's dope. That's so cute. That's a really good idea.
In the game, obviously in the show, they just had it out. But in the game, in the game, she kind of explains it, and the way she does it is really sweet. It is really sweet.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really nice way to do it. I thought you got to play. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would have been like a game where you get to go in and play a different game for a bit. You know what I mean? I genuinely thought that's how that DLC would have been.
They do that in Uncharted.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Uncharted 4, they
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh
The
my
whole-
god, they do. Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, they do.
That was sick.
It's the whole running scene, isn't it? Where you're running down the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the whole mall thing. I mean, we'll try and skip through a bit quicker. I won't hit beat by beat on this one.
There's not much to say.
There's a lot to talk about.
I think the biggest beat is what, like the bite, the kiss. But I actually, before we go too deep, I actually just want to ask Danny what was.
What?
Say again?
Yeah, you cut completely out then.
I wanted to ask Danny's opinion on the episode.
I really liked this episode.
Like,
I thought it was. I didn't hear that, but I was going to ask the first question. Is I really liked the episode. I think it was well wrapped up. I enjoyed the flashback. When it first flashed back and Eddie was in her room, I was like, I'm not too sure about this. But as it progressed, I really liked it. I thought it was well. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. There was only two things that frustrated me about the entire episode. Was why did I don't know what to call them, the zombie or whatever it is. Why did it just miraculously wake up when Riley had been living there for how long? And I didn't like how, I know they resolved it later on, but I was frustrated with why Ellie didn't get affected, but Riley did, because obviously he still didn't know at that time, and obviously I'd never played the game. So I was like, I don't understand why Ellie survived.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Cool.
Yeah, so I was like, this doesn't. I assume they were going to wrap it up somehow in a future episode, but I was kind of like, it doesn't make sense to me currently.
You thought that maybe in that flashback episode you'd see.
Yeah, that's exactly
why she's immune.
Yeah, that's why I thought the flashback was going to happen. I thought they was going to show why Ellie's immune, but obviously that didn't happen yet, or in this episode.
I don't think you do find out in the game why Ellie's immune. I don't think you ever get the mum scene, or
no, nothing like that. You never.
It's just knowledge. Yeah, she's immune. That's it. That's all you ever find out, which is quite weird actually. Now that you say that like that, because it didn't put me off the game at all. Like, I don't think it put many people off the game not knowing, but yeah, it is kind of strange they never touch on it in the game. I guess you're just too busy. You're just running around doing too much shit.
I agree.
All right, so episode 8.
Wait. What about her kiss?
Episode
What about her kiss?
No.
I did love the kiss. I thought the whole thing was really, really cute.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really, really sweet thing to have it in there. And then they die. Well, and then they both get bit. Episode 8. When we are in need. So this is where we meet David. who is a fan favorite.
Oh.
Everyone, David. He is the creepy cannibal paedophile. All the things you want to grow up to be. My dog ran when I said that.
No, you
so
what?
strange. He just ran out the room like, no, mate, I'm out. We also get to see Troy in this episode, which obviously is a massive mention for the gamers. But Danny, Troy is the guy who played Joel in the games, and he's the one who plays the right hand man to David.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one who gets in the neck. That's Troy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
So yeah, she hunts the deer. It's that whole hunting scene is pretty much the scene that you come back to in after Joel gets stabbed in the game. So that's like the nice little reference to that after the whole flashback episode. Yeah, we meet David. What do you guys think of David?
You know, I knew David was going to be at some point in the show, but I knew Troy was going to be in the show in the same episode as David. I was just really praying they don't make Troy David. Like, cast someone else as David. Just please don't let Troy be cast as David. And then yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah. That would have been really.
That's exactly what I thought.
Are you Frazer?
You completely frozen. Oh, no, he's all right.
I'm just letting Serhan do his thing as he just lags around the screen like an 8-bit character.
Yeah, there we go.
It's better.
Hello.
Does seem better. Be closer to the router.
Mate, I was sitting opposite the router, like I'm like fucking 10 centimeters away, and it was like it's worse. And I was like,
It's too close.
Right,
Yeah,
cool.
That won't work.
I'm sitting next to the window now. But yeah, David, creepy. Creepy.
Yeah.
I think his voice was somehow creepier in the game. Like he was more like a classic villain. But in the show, they kind of make him a bit like, okay, you're a bit human. I think there's only, what bit is it? It's the bit where he's talking with Ellie in the cabin and everything feels very safe. And then he's like, there was a guy and a girl that killed my guy. And then the way it just zooms in on his face, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see the creep. I can see the creepiness now.
It's very subtle, more subtle.
What do you think of David when you first met him, Danny? What vibes did he give you? Did you think he was going to be a good guy or a bad guy? What vibes did he give you? Did you think he was going to be a good guy?
I assumed he was going to be a bad guy. I just don't know. I just got some era, some sort of aura about him that just made me feel a bit uneasy. And how he was so calm, but is it Troy or whatever his name was so panicky. I could just sense that something was going to happen. I wouldn't have said, a perverted cannibal. That would have been probably 89 from my list of what I thought was going to happen. But yeah, I had that sense. But it was just, I knew that I wasn't like him as soon as he came on the screen.
Yeah, David just kind of got worse as the episode went. Like, he seemed fairly normal in the first 10 minutes, and then gradually he just got worse, and then worse, and then worse. And he just ended up being some super creepy. And he was like, yeah, I want Ellie to be my queen, and we can reign over these people. And it was like, what the fuck has just happened?
So when he slapped that girl, like, what was that about?
Yeah, that was the moment for me, mate, that I was like, oh, he's straight up dickhead, like, and everyone knows it. Like, no one's saying anything. Just going around slapping kids.
That was if I remember in the game correctly, like you get more of the savage, scary, creepy David, cannibal David. And it's kind of weird because in the show they kind of humanize the cannibalism in a weird way because it's like, look, I know it's not right, but we've had no choice. Whereas in the game, it's a bit like, let's justify this. Like, no, this is the way it is. Like, this is the way it is. But the perverted side, you don't really get more of a touch on it. Because if I remember correctly, when they have their big fight in the burning house, he's like holding her as if his blessing is going to like molest her or something. Whereas in the game, he's strangling her. Like, I'm going to kill you, not molest you. Still fucked up.
In the game, he tries to molest her.
Does he? My brain, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. okay,
Yeah, I think it was very similar in both the show and the game. I think he was both pissed off that she wasn't so obedient, but also so infatuated with that at the same time in his fucking weird, creepy way. But yeah, I think both in the game and in the show, they basically did the same thing with him and made him that character.
But you know what?
In the game, I'm surprised that they sort of showed that in the game. I would have thought, same as Serhan, well, not same as Serhan, but I would have thought that they wouldn't have shown him trying to molest her. I thought they would have shown him strangling her.
Mate, in the game, he's fucking terrifying. It's one of the most terrifying things because you're creeping around that fiery diner and you're like trying to find things to hit him with and whatever. And he's got a knife, I think. And you stab him once or twice and then he gets like harder and harder to beat. And mate, he literally starts sprinting after you. It's fucking terrifying. Then he jumps on top of you and that whole scene happens. It's really, really, you feel like a child running from a paedophile, mate. It's really creepy. It's a really creepy scene, but it's cool at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like a really well done thing. And Ellie wins, so you know it's always nice.
Well, does she really? I mean, sort of. She survives, but she's like, that's one of those moments where even the show in the game, I was like, this girl is just now. It's a new level of head fuck. It's a new level, like. But there's I feel like every character's got moments where they say a line, and my brain can't help it. That when I hear it in the show, I'm like, no, I liked it better one way or the other. Everything was like 98% there, but there's like one line that David says after Ellie breaks his finger, and Ellie and the actress smashed that part when she was like, "My name is Ellie." It's like, what? It's like, tell him that the little girl, his name is Ellie, that broke your fucking finger. And I was like, that was bang on.
Yeah.
And it's just the way he stops. But in the game, I preferred the line. He just stops and he was like, how did you put it? Tiny little pieces. And I was like, oh, God, I feel creeped out. Oh.
Like certain bits like that, like from the show, they rip like direct dialogue straight.
You have to. It was too good.
I'm so glad that they do it that way because it instantly rings it back to the game, and when you're put back in that scene, oh, it's so good though. It's so good.
What about I don't remember correctly, but everything that Joel went through after being able to wake up and get up, was that
Same episode.
Yeah.
Guys,
he does the whole the torture scene and the interrogation. That scene is basically identical to the game.
Yeah,
he puts the blade in the guy's kneecap, twists it, and he's like, you know, tell me your shit. Gets him to point it on the map, kills him, and the other guy's like, you said you weren't going to kill him. Like, I'm not going to tell you anything. He's like, no, that's fine. I believe this guy. It's fine. And then just kills him as well. It's exactly the same in the game.
That was
so
such
bad.
a line.
Yeah, it's so good.
I think that was like no, but that was a rampage. I think that was his turning point, like in the show where Eddie's become super vulnerable. He's become super like, I will fuck up anything and everything to get to you, and then it kind of to protect her, and then it kind of culminates, and it's in that one line that I think it does it more in the game than in the show, if I'm not mistaken, where he finally gets her and it's like, I'm here, it's okay, don't worry, baby girl. And when you hear baby girl, you're like, right, yeah, you feel it now. You feel it that they're not. There's no pretense now.
Yeah, baby girl got me, mate. I'm not gonna lie. A tear came down, and he had the watch on as well. I was like, oh
yeah,
oh, it's so beautiful. But I really like how it's shot with Joel running to the barn, because I've played the game. We've played the game. Not Danny. We've played it, so we know how that's going to happen. But Danny, did you think that Joel was going to get there to save the day?
Yeah, I did. I 100% was expecting at some point. There were so many like points of that whole scene where I'm thinking, there's Joel. Surely he's going to come in now. Okay, now. Right, now's he really needs to come in to save her. Okay, is he going to survive? Where the fuck's Joel? Like, is he going to arrive in time? So, yeah, I 100% was expecting Joel to come in and save the day. I wasn't expecting Ellie to save herself.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really interesting choice. They done it in the game the same way as well, but it was always just to kind of make you as the audience think the man's coming to save you. Oh no, she can save herself. It's Ellie. She's fucking capable. And yeah, it's really, really cool. I like that you said that though, because that's kind of exactly how we all went through it with the game. Like you are just expecting when he's like strangling her or whatever he's doing in the game to her, you are expecting Joel to just fucking grab him and just like kill him. But it never happens. Yeah. Which moves on to episode 9, which is our final episode. Are we excited?
Oh yeah,
Feeling a bit better, so that's good. I mean, first thing to shout out in this one is Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the game and plays Ellie's mum in the show. Anna.
nice touch.
Yeah, it was amazing seeing her, and it was very fucking weird at the same time because hearing her cry, hearing Ellie cry, and it was so bizarre.
What did you guys think of that? Obviously, as we kind of said to Danny before, that was an added piece. It's given now, it's like direct canon explanation. I would imagine it was in the mind of Neil Druckmann, and it's again sort of semi-insinuated that it had something to do with her mum, possibly. But what did you guys think of it as an explanation as a gamer, and Danny as just the person who's watching the show? Did it all feel justified?
I mean, from my point of view, it seemed plausible. That seemed like a reasonable answer as to why Ellie has immunity. Because I was going to go, in my head, I was thinking down the lines of she was experimented on, and that was the reason why. So it was plausible. Was it mind blowing? Probably not, but I understood why they went there.
Do you feel like it was necessary for them to answer that question in the show?
Oh, 100%. For me personally, I would have been, if they hadn't answered it, I would have been more frustrated with the ending of The Last of Us. That really annoyed me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, yeah, as I said, you don't really question it too much in the game. Like, it is just one of them kind of, this is what we are, this is how it is, let's go. But yeah, no, I did kind of at the same point kind of want that little bit of, I do want to know why she's immune, and then they gave it to us, which it was really cool. I really liked that they added that in.
I think it's like I think it's like what Danny said earlier, where obviously they've done the flashback of Left Behind, so you kind of want to know why at that point she didn't turn, when we didn't see in that whole episode anything to do with why she's immune. So I think for the show, it was probably necessary, especially when they've expanded on so many other things. But where the game is so focused on Joel and Ellie and less so on the world, you just know that everything's messed up and you've got this mission to do. It's I think it's probably better for the game-wise to it's not necessary to include that info in the base game anyway, because I didn't play DLC. I don't know if playing the DLC would have changed my opinion on that.
No, but I think you guys are all right. Like, as a viewer, it's a weird feeling, because as a viewer, I had the same feeling of, I want to know. I thought it was justified. As a gamer, you don't, because I think you already tell yourself that, well, I'm in the present with these characters, and I can only know what these characters know. So if they don't know, I'm not going to know, and it doesn't matter. And obviously, you're not doing any sort of flashbacks in the game. There's no Left Behind or Bill's story. You're just, so whereas in the show, if they're like, it's like the whole gun in the first act shot in the third act. It's that feeling of, well, you showed me how it started, or how she found out she was immune. Don't tease me. Let me know. But I think I liked it. I liked it. I think it was simple. I'm glad they didn't go too deep into it. They were just like, no, she kind of got bit, and her mum was giving birth to her at the same time, bit of blood transfusion, and it's just developed with her like a vaccine. Rick, what about you, mate? You've been quiet.
I was thinking, like, when playing the game as a gamer, I didn't really question why Ellie's immune. It was just like, okay, she's immune. They're gonna make a vaccine, protect her. All right, fine. I didn't really question the why. Even in the show, I didn't really question why she was immune. If they had gone and not answered it, I wouldn't have been too fussed. But I appreciate that they still provided the insight, like, okay, this is why Ellie is actually immune. It's like, oh, okay, it's good to know. But for me, it didn't feel like that was the key part of the scene. It was more like, this is Ellie's mom.
The more important thing is the relationship between her mum and Marlene.
Yeah, Marlene, yeah.
I think that was probably more important than...
Yeah, that was the takeaway for me from seeing like how Ellie wound up with Marlene and everything like that. But that was what I was focusing on, less about the whole immunity thing. But I still like that they gave information as to why Ellie's immune. Makes
That's
sense.
strange because I'm not playing the game. Obviously, I saw it the complete opposite way. The whole Marlene thing didn't even cross my mind until later on in the episode. I hadn't clicked. Like I knew there was something I needed to click for, but I was more interested in the immunity. It wasn't too later. I was like, oh, this makes sense.
It's good to have a different perspective, right? Because all of us have played the game, so we kind of expect it to know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
For someone who's not played the game and has no idea, coming in fresh, this is what we need. Is what we're missing.
Because the first couple episodes with Marlene in it, I was like, okay, I understand she's a big character for the role she's in, but I didn't understand why it felt like she was a bigger character than she was until probably halfway through the last episode. When obviously they're about to do the about to kill Ellie essentially. It hadn't clicked on me until then that she knew her mother, and that was the whole reason. So that wasn't my main fault when we saw the scene of why Ellie's immune.
Yeah.
Marlene give her to Fedra. I mean, I guess Fedra would be a safe place to leave her, but how did she know she was immune? How did they know that? Where was the bite from? Well, the bite was from the thing with Riley, but obviously Marlene wouldn't have known about that. So there's still a lot of questions, I guess.
I think, well, if you think back to the early episodes, they had her in the room for however long, so
they didn't know.
They were still testing her, weren't they?
Oh yeah.
Just after the mall.
Yeah.
From there, I guess.
It was just a coincidence.
Yeah, Marlene gave her up because she was worried that Ellie was going to turn. Because obviously, at that point, they were like, "Did you cut the cord before you was bitten?" And I don't know whether Marlene actually trusted. I don't know what Ellie's mum's name is. Hannah. I don't know whether she trusted her, and then she went, "Right, I'll take her," and boom, just abandoned her or gave it to Fedra as soon as possible.
It could have been like a trap. But at the same time, I think like if you're running a rebellion, unfortunately, even the enemy would be a better place because let's say got a school and shelter and they can like an orphanage style, whereas a rebellion ain't got time to raise a baby.
Was that were they in that scene? Was Fireflies a thing then? Because I always assumed that came later on.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Fireflies, yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So the hospital scene. What I want to know what Serhan thought of it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I didn't mind it too much. I didn't like the transition, to be honest with you. Like I liked their little bit of jesting with the jokes, and then a flashbang grenade, and then they get taken. In the game, obviously, it's a bit more longed out. In the game, Danny, there's a bit more focus. They mention this in the show. There's a bit more focus that Ellie can't swim. So there's a lot of gameplay where you're literally getting a pallet and you're carrying Ellie from A to B. And you become very scared in the game of don't let this girl touch the water. So in the last part of the game, before you get there, you're going through this underground tunnel, you're fighting clickers and blah, blah, blah. And then Ellie hits the water and she's drowned, basically. And you're basically just like resuscitating her. And these guys have come next to you, they're like, you don't know who they are. And they're like, put your fucking guns up or put your hands up, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, please, I just need one more minute. And then they just knock you out. And then you wake up in the Fireflies hospital. I wanted a little bit more of that, but it's fine because it was about halfway through the episode. I liked the hospital scene. I liked the transition of the fight. I liked because I was like, okay, they can't do a whole long ass fight. I liked it because it was more music based, and I liked that Joel was walking. He wasn't running, tucking and thinking. He was just walking because then there was that element of calm certainty of nothing's going to stop me. And I felt that driving force of Joel that I always knew was there of, he was just so calm and so accurate in walking. And it's only at the very last minute where he sees her. And then again, the surgeon gets the knife and it's like, please, immediately shoots him. And that's the first time he raises his voice of just like, fucking do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I really liked the direction of the hospital scene. I think it conveyed what it needed to. I got goosebumps watching it.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I thought that. Well, firstly, I think that the episode itself was quite short.
Yeah.
Compared to the other episodes. So I feel like they probably could have put more into that scene. I don't think it really. It was kind of frustrating because I don't think they really got across how difficult that level was.
Oh no.
It was
Oh my
really
God.
frustrating.
Oh my God,
I
no,
think-
literally same. Like getting through that hospital was a fucking nightmare, and he breezed through it in like 2 or 3 minutes. He killed like 7 or 8. Fair, they were cool kills, but 10 people tops he killed, and he was at the door. Like, bro, in the game that would have taken you at least fuck knows how long to get through that, and they rushed it. The whole last episode, I think, 43 minutes, 42 minutes. That was the last episode for The Last of Us.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
last episode they had
I was
was
very surprised at that runtime.
70 something minutes.
They definitely could have go with that hospital scene. I completely agree with Fraser. It was good. It wasn't perfect. I think they kind of dropped a few balls. I think more people should have died. I think they should have had more interesting camera shots to show the devastation he was leaving behind him, rather than just all these close-ups of faces. I think bodies is way more effective when you just see like 7 dead bodies as he's walking and just shooting another guy. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, he's wiping out an entire faction. This one, you kind of got, he's just wiping out the staff of a hospital. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel busy.
You were right there.
The henchmen.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think they should have added another episode. I think this episode should have been them getting to the door of the hospital, and then you dedicate a whole episode to the hospital.
Yeah.
I think that's what it needed, to be honest with you. And it's even touching on back onto, like, in hindsight, to Bill's episode. Like, they gave that over an hour. The last episode, not even of the season, they're wrapping up the game. They're wrapping up the whole entire experience. I don't feel like we saw enough clickers and infected and even bloaters.
That's what I was
scratch that itch.
That scene that you mentioned about when Ellie's drowning because she goes to save Joel, who's in the bus, and that before they get captured and get taken to the hospital. They come across bloaters in the sewer, and I genuinely thought, look, they've already shown us a bloater who got away. He didn't die. Like, you know, that bloater ran off. I genuinely thought we was going to have part 2 of a bloater, and I thought we were going to see Joel take down a bloater before the thing was filling up with water or whatever.
Why can't I
was
remember
waiting for that whole thing.
The massive, the massive.
Oh, when he come from the ground. Yeah, okay, no, I remember.
I mean, they're not called bloaters in the show, I don't think. So I mean, that's fair enough. That didn't make sense. Yeah, no, the big infected one that they couldn't kill. Yeah, I really was expecting a comeback of that. I mean, why
not?
A bit weird to show him and not bring him back. Well, that was a bit strange. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you guys.
Yeah. I even just had this thought, like, wouldn't it have been like really cool if that hospital scene was like a one shot?
Yes.
And goes all the way. That would have been so sick.
That would have been fucking awesome. Yeah.
What did you think, like the whole ending of the last episode, like the whole hospital scene and then getting to Ellie? Like, what was you thinking?
I really enjoyed it up until they got to the car park or car lot, whatever you want to call it. I was really engaged. At that point, it's sort of, I kind of felt, I don't know what the game went, but I felt like it really took the easy way out. I think there could have been, you know, I feel like there wasn't enough clickers in the entire series. You know, the whole of The Last of Us is based on the clickers. And I'm assuming for you guys that played the game, there must have been loads. And I feel like we only saw a snapshot of them. I'm sure there are episodes where you didn't even see one. I could have had some more, and it just felt like once he'd killed everyone in the hospital, which I really enjoyed. That was really gripping for me, and then just sort of tailed off as to how it ended. And obviously, if that's part of the game, can't really change that. But yeah, apart from that, I think you know, you could have had a completely different, not completely different ending, but a different way to the ending.
What do you think it was about the way it ended that you would have liked to be different?
I don't know. It just felt a bit too. I feel like there was so many other ways it could have gone. Just for them to make it out of the hospital and then say, yeah, that's fine. Okay, sorry, Paige just popped in. Sorry. The door just quietly opened. I was like, hold on, there's one of my dogs just open. Sorry. I just feel that there could have been a bit of a harder, because it felt like he'd killed what did seem like quite easy henchmen, and then to come out and just go, right, we're done. We're going back to Jackson. Whereas, you know, it should have. I feel like there should have been something to do with clickers, bloaters, just something to sort of go like, oh, he's made it, but has he made it? And then I was like, oh, he actually has made it. I just thought a bit more suspense would have gone a treat in that. And then, as I said, it was the last episode. I was expecting something like mesmerizing, something drastic.
You reckon, Danny, if you had had that scene that Serhan mentioned with the drowning and everything before, and that was like a good 25-minute chunk before that whole hospital scene, do you reckon it would have been a lot more satisfying?
I agree.
Scot-free.
Because then obviously you then get a point where Joel then gets knocked out. Is Ellie still alive? And you're like, oh my god, have they made it? And then boom, you're back in the hospital, and then you've got that suspense where it's like, is he going to make it past all these henchmen? Is he going to get Ellie out? And then you've got that sort of in the background is he going to run into more clickers? So I think talking what Serhan said, and you know the scene with Eddie drowning, I think if they had have added that, I think it would have made it so much better for me personally as a viewer rather than a player.
I think it was a really essential scene to have, and it was a bit strange that they dropped it.
Yeah, I think that's what my questions, even Charlie, and I'm sure even the lads are thinking the same thing. It's that formula. It's like the extra ingredient that it needed, because in the last act of the game, it's all up. It's just all suspense. You know, you're going to get chased by bloaters. And there's like 3 or 4 that you have to fight in this one go. Is she drowning? Someone's come to stop you. Is she dead? Then there's the big, from the physicalness, is a massive emotional realization of we've made it. Oh, fuck, we're at the hospital. And she's like, yep, blah, blah, blah. This is where the cordyceps on. You're like, you're going to kill her. What the fuck? Then you go through that. And then the cutscene goes, like you said, and it's like a long-ass time of henchmen. Then you get her. And then once you get her in the game, you're running out of the hospital with people shooting you. And you just about make it to the car. And the same thing with Marlene and everything. That's sort of like all up. And then the ending just sort of diffuses very quickly.
Yes.
It's like white noise suspense. And in the game, it made more sense. Whereas in the show, it was like a very small uphill, and then it just very slightly transitioned back down. You expected, like you said, something a bit more momentous. But the suspense
for having gone through it.
Yeah. So when it is quiet and there's flashbacks and it's her and him in the car, you're almost like out of breath. And you're like, okay, I can take this now. Like, let's just listen to what they're going to say rather than, really? I mean, it could have been a bit bigger, you know?
Yeah, that's well worded there, saying. That's how I thought I was going to feel, but I didn't.
Yeah, that's fair, to be fair.
Right, guys, from beginning to end, I know I'm sorry, unless we want to carry on a third part, but we're a minute left.
Oh. Go on.
Let's say a finishing question then. What about the so that obviously we know he doesn't tell her about what happened in the hospital. What do you think about that bit, Danny?
I understand why he did it. I probably would have done the same, because I think Ellie has some morality about her. I think she may at some point go, I could save everyone. Whereas now Joel just wants to save Ellie. He's already lost one daughter. He doesn't want to lose another. So I think if I was in Joel's position, I would have done exactly the same thing. And I'm kind of glad he did that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it comes across in the game as well, doesn't it?
As the last perspective to leave you with as well, Danny, is he is the hero of the game and the show. But some people say that he is actually the villain of the story.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because he's taken away the vax. But you're on their side. Yeah, and if you feel like, I would have done the same, then it's the show I think has portrayed what it needed to. No, I was going to ask, when was the last episode actually aired?
Probably about 3 weeks ago. Not sure. So 3 weeks ago.
Was it 3 weeks? Oh my god!
I watched it today.
No way, you lucky bugger.
I watched it today. Yeah, I was delayed in me watching stuff because I went away for a week. So I watched episode 8 yesterday, 9 today.
Yeah, I literally binged them because so I'd seen The Last of Us be advertised and I was like, yeah, it seems great. I was then listening to a podcast and they were giving spoilers out. And I was like, no, I actually want to watch this at some point. So I had to physically force myself to watch it to begin with because I wanted to continue listening to the podcast. But I ended up just binging it after I think the first 4 episodes had already come out. I'd watched it. Then I think there was like a 2-week gap between the next, between I'm sure it's season 4 and season 5, and then binged it again.
Nice.
No, yeah. It is good. It's a good show. I think it's done really, really well with people who haven't played the game, which is a really nice kind of review of it. But yeah, I do feel like the final episode, as you guys have already said, like it could have been a bit longer, could have added a bit more to it. Definitely fizzled rather than banged.
Yeah.
But I love Pedro Pascal and I love Bella Ramsey. I'm so keen for season 2. And I'm looking forward to doing it with you guys as well.
Yeah.
Podcast about it. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. It's been a pleasure. I'm Charlie.
Rick.
Frazer.
I'm Serhan, and today we have had the greatest pleasure of having
Danny.
Yeah. Honest to God, mate, Danny. I mean, I always love to see your face. I love you to bits. You're all my brothers. But having someone outside of the gaming spectrum has been the best insight to this, man. Because you've given me more certainty than just, am I just fanboying? I don't know.
It's really nice to know that this show, the game was a hit with gamers, and now the show is also a hit among people who haven't played it, which is just a great fucking sign that this show, The Last of Us in general, it's fucking amazing, man. The story and everything is just great.
Out of 10, Danny, go on.
Up until halfway through the last episode was 10. I'm going to give it a 9. I think that the end, in fact, it fizzled rather than banged, dropped a point for me. But apart from that, it was great. And I think because I know there's going to be a second season, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's fair.
You see yourself playing the game, Danny?
I could actually. I could. I've never been a proper gamer, but I've just like playing Sons of Forest. And I was like, do you know what? I've really got into this. So I feel like I could get into a game like The Last of Us quite easily now.
Put it on easy mode, bro. Put it on easy mode. That's all I'm going to say.
Definitely recommend playing the game, man. Honestly, definitely recommend it.
I feel like I should play. See, like, well, I don't know yet. I don't know if I should.
Do you know what, Danny? Even if you don't have the time to play it, just go on YouTube. Watch someone else's playthrough of someone not talking. And just watch it like a movie. You can still see the difference and feel that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't watch any of part 2.
Okay, I won't.
I'm not going to. I mean, I've seen bits and bobs, and I kind of know a bit, but I don't know everything that happens in the game. So I'm kind of leaving it as a mystery till the show comes out.
You can be on my
side. Yeah. Right. Thank you again, guys, and it's always a pleasure seeing you and your beautiful faces. Till next time.
Till next time, guys.
Peace out, guys. Love you, Danny. Can't wait till next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
GG's.
Take it easy.
Ciao.